All right, everybody. Looks like we are live. Welcome to Providence Perspective. I'm Jay, the Reformed Puerto Rican dude. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I am here because I want to talk to you guys about something that, um, how would I put this? It's Twitter drama, but it's so much more than that. And it's so important what we're going to be talking about tonight because we're talking about the life of the unborn. The life of those who cannot defend themselves, and unfortunately, sadly, a lot of Christians today don't know everything that's going on, even from those who claim that they're actually for the lives, excuse me, of the unborn. And so, to talk to you guys about this issue, I have with me my very recent, very new friend, Haps Addison. How you doing, Haps?
Oh, pretty good.
Good to
Ju-
have you. Good to have you, sir.
Just got off of work, so
What time is it over there?
it is 7 o'clock. I
So
mean,
okay,
it's 6 o'clock.
okay, so you're like 2 hours behind me. I'm Eastern, so I'm glad that we were able to make this happen. It's always hard for me to set up these kinds of things with people who live closer to the West Coast, but I know it's tough for you guys, but I definitely appreciate your time and your willingness to appear on my show. So, without further ado, I can be long-winded, so I'm going to shut up for a second and I'm going to turn it over to you. You are brand new to my show. You've never been here before. And so maybe you can give us a quick 2, 3, 4 minute introduction, who you are, how you came to Christ, and what you do.
My name is Happy. Everybody calls me Haps, Haps Addison, and I came to know the Lord almost like a decade ago. I was a full blown heroin and speed addict, and I ended up overdosing, and it threw me into a stroke, and I was paralyzed and on the left side of my body. And make a long story short, my wife hooked up our laptop to the computer. I mean, to our big screen TV after I got home from rehabilitation, and she put on YouTube and typed in "reformed pastors," and I wasn't a believer at all. I was, very antichrist. And I heard the gospel one time from a guy named Jeff Durbin, and it radically changed. Well, yeah, it changed my life. Just it was amazing, and uh, started a program getting the homeless off the streets, and ended up the Lord was being glorified in what we were doing down in Southern California, by the way, and but California came in and shut us down. We're going on almost 2 years now. And so now I'm up in Idaho with my brother, and I sell gold and silver and coins on Whatnot as an auctioneer. Me and my brother did it, and have a blast. But yeah, that's pretty much. And I started a school of apologetics and ministry called Passing the Torch. So, you know, that's just what I do. And I've been off of Facebook for like almost a year because my wife and I were moving all over the place. And so I've just been focusing on working because I was a full-time pastor for the last 9 years. So, yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you came back on Facebook and social media in general,
Yeah.
because otherwise we wouldn't have connected. So that's great. So, guys, if you guys are watching in head, Fred, by the way, let's say hello. Good day, Fred. Thank you for saying hello. Um, I don't know how much you know about what's been going on Twitter. Like, do you have an X account? I don't even know.
Yeah, I just got one like I think like was it a month ago? And I regret it sometimes. Gosh.
I, I have heard arguments in favor and against, and I understand both.
Yeah.
What I do is, for the sake of my mental sanity, is I will go on there for days at a time. And then when I notice, yeah, I think I need to take a break, I'll take like a week off and then come back like a week later and torture myself some more. but but like there's ideas that are being spread there, and all kinds of sometimes very good ideas and sometimes very bad ideas that are infiltrating the church. And
Yeah.
I had a guy tell me, we need guys that stand for biblical truth on there, because there's a lot of guys that don't, right, that
Yeah.
claim to be Christian or are very confused about what it means to be a Christian. And we need truth in there. And so we're about to talk about one of those issues, which is the pro-life versus the abolitionist positions. Now, we're not here to talk about so much all the details of all that, although certainly we can get into it. But there's a particularly famous pro-life uh, establishment leader, I guess you could say. Her name is, I want to pronounce this correctly, Kristan Hawkins. Kristan Hawkins, I believe she's Roman Catholic. She sometimes, I think, does a good job at defending the life of the unborn. But unfortunately, she actually stands for injustice, because she is against the prosecution of women for abortion. And if you are going to be honest about what it means to have equal protection under the law, one of the things that we have to admit is, if abortion is murder, then everybody involved who purposely is involved should be prosecuted. How would you react to that? Would you agree for the most part? Would you do some pushback?
And that was when I was reading her arguments, that when you and I were talking earlier today, and you asked me about her. So I never seen her before, the same arguments she was making, I was making at one time. And until I was really sit down and really just went over the scriptures with a couple brothers of mine. And I my whole thing was, what I believed was, I want to know what the law is in these bills, because whenever a bill is passed, like made into law and stuff, it's usually has 7 or 8 laws right behind it that have absolutely nothing to do with that at all. And I know how the system works. I know, and so I was like, I want to make sure our senators are aware of this, and that's why I reached out to Shippy up here. But and what the stance I used to come from is, I don't want to see anybody die, I just don't want to see. But we are so far past, all of this. I mean, it's the bills are getting killed left and right. Babies are getting killed left and right, left and right, left and right.
Yeah.
And all the pro-life wants to do is, they say they want to end it, but they just want it regulated. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
yeah, that's where I stand with that. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah. So for context, first of all, Haps, you've been working against abortion for a while, haven't you? I don't think you
Yes.
mentioned that in your introduction. So what is it that you've done?
Well, like, I'm a discipleship pastor, and so the men that would come through my home, I put them through Apologia. I put them through, I mean, hundreds of guys, and teaching them how to evangelize, first, on the streets, and then making sure they had the right temperament. I would bring them to 2 abortion mills. One was in Hemet, California. That's Riverside County. And the other one was in Temecula, California. And, but they had to have a good temperament. And so we started a couple abortion mill ministries, and they were straight trying to kill us out there. because in California, I don't know if you know this or not, but it is against the law, all right, California law, to talk to anybody going in to the clinic, and
That's
it's
insane.
against the law to film. You can't film, you know.
How convenient.
Yeah, so and we'd have frozen water bottles thrown at us. They try to run us off, get up on the curb with their car and try to run us over, all kinds of stuff.
That's
Yeah.
insane. But I appreciate your, actually, let me say this first. I appreciate the devotion that you have to standing for the unborn. Um, and I admire that you picked guys that had good temperament,
Yeah.
because I haven't, so I've gone one time to a college campus to have a discussion on abortion. I went with one other guy from my church, and fortunately both of us were even keeled, right? Like I can be intense at times, but when it came to this, you kind of see it as, Lord forgive them for they do not know what they're doing, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think that everybody has that mindset, right? That maturity. Not that I'm saying I'm mature. I actually, my wife would attest to the fact that there's a lot of things that I still need to mature on. But in terms of dealing with the unbeliever, right? When they give pushback, when they insult you, not that, I'll be honest with you, we weren't being insulted very much at all, and I praise God for that. People were willing to have conversations, but you do get the occasional, you know, F you, or, whatever. We did get a lot of that as well. Not a lot, but some. And I think some Christians are just not built for that, at least not gifted for that particular thing. So I do appreciate that. Um, when it comes to the subject that we're going to have, that we're going to be discussing tonight, Kristan Hawkins. So it's funny. She kind of acts like that, like the kinds of people that you would think would be unbelievers. Let me go ahead. We're going to look at some of her. I guess you could call them tweets, X posts, right? I don't know. People still call them tweets, right? I think.
Hmm.
So let's go ahead and pull it up, and we're gonna engage with that, um, and just kind of give our thoughts on that. Let me see. I think this is the one we want. So here's the first one, and this is kind of what set off this conversation, because she had been engaging with some abolitionist guys on X and things like that. And I think this is what set it off. If you look at the bottom, you'll see that the comments, the reposts, the likes, all that is blurred out for me. This is from my perspective, my Twitter perspective, or my X perspective. The reason why it's blotted out is because she actually blocked me. Because she was blocking abolitionists left and right. Any kind of, just the smallest amount of pushback, and she was just blocking people. So she says here, the sad thing is the people I fear getting shot by most of the time aren't crazy leftists. Most of them don't have guns, or or I think she meant, or know how to use them. LOL. But abolitionists, think about that. Now, I am not saying that there aren't crazy abolitionists out there. There could be, who might threaten her. I don't know. But she didn't really point out to anybody in particular. And what's interesting is the engagement that she got was not threatening her. I don't know if were you able to go through that, or not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
did you see anybody threatening her?
No, I didn't see anybody threatening her.
Yeah, because I was like, this lady's a little nuts, man. Like,
Yeah.
she's being told, listen, this is why you're inconsistent. But she's acting like, often like the left does. The left will go to this kind of rhetoric of, like, everybody on the right is crazy and wants to kill us and wants to exterminate us, and they're all Hitler and Nazis and all that garbage.
Yeah.
She resorted to that kind of thing, even though she is often fighting the left. So, I mean, what did you think when you saw this tweet from her?
It's just I was like, God, Joe, what was right, man. He was right. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I was, trying to read one after the other and everything, and it's just like, well, you can see she's you know, she has a thing. It's just like when you go to abortion mills and the Catholics are there, they
Mhm.
stay and do absolutely nothing. They just stand there,
Mm.
maybe like hand stuff out or whatever. And then they ridicule you for if you have signs and you're giving a gospel presentation and whatnot, or having some good, conversations or, um, so I think she is Catholic,
Yeah, she is.
because they give them the most pushback against abolitionists, more than anybody I've seen,
Yeah. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. She is Catholic. I will give her this. She engages way more than the Catholics that you're describing. She actually has conversations with people. So to her credit, she does do that. Um, but I think the major inconsistency is let's see. Actually, this might be helpful. The major inconsistency that she has is if it is murder, if abortion is murder, right? Then why are we giving special rights for murderers to commit murder under certain circumstances, right? Like if a mom says, "I want to kill my baby," and that baby is 2 weeks old,
hmm
what would we do to that mother, right? Legally speaking, what would we do to that mother?
Oh, she'd be in jail and facing the death penalty,
That's it. That's it. But when it comes to killing the baby inside the womb, all of a sudden, well, mothers are victims and this, that. Now,
Yeah.
I think there might be some confusion sometimes from the pro life side where they say, and by the way, I just want to make one caveat here. Not everybody who says they are pro life actually knows that the pro life establishment is fighting against bills of abolition, because that's what people like Kristen are doing, right? They're actually celebrating when they get rid of bills of abolition, like what happened in Louisiana, or what happened more recently now in I think it was North Dakota, correct?
I can't
Don't
remember. No.
don't recall. That's fine.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was North Dakota, where a bill of abolition was presented, and basically, the the bill was rejected, right? And so, the reason why they reject these bills is because they say, well, we want to call it what it is. We want to call it murder. We want equal protection under the law. And so the big pro-life establishment will come in and say, no, we can't support that bill because we believe that mothers are victims. I mean, that's
Yeah.
insane. We don't do that for anything else,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that there's been, well, I think there's been a lot of compromise within the body of Christ, that and maybe that we had such, as Christians, left such a bad stain from like back in the 80s, when they were when Christians were going around bombing abortion clinics. And it's just, so the mere thought of um uh criminalizing a woman that wants to murder her kid is very foreign to them. It was and I believe it's like this. Let me just, so in California, I was born and raised there and stuff like that. Doing evangelism, one of the biggest heartaches my wife and I would find is the girl who's a drug addict out on the street, and she's pregnant, and we try to get them help, and they just go, no, I'm just going to have the abortion.
Mhm.
And we're like, please don't. And the reason why is because there's laws in California that if a young lady is pregnant and she's under the influence of drugs, when she gives birth to that baby is immediately taken away and goes into foster care. So they don't want to live with that heartache anymore. So they just, and so when you got all these crazy laws, that really push back, I mean, it's like, what do you do? But you feel for the young lady, give them the gospel and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, you have the other ones that are just like, no, I want to. This is like the 9th baby I've destroyed,
Yeah.
and they're vicious, venomous, idolaters, and so yeah, there's just I don't know. I know I ramble on too, by the way.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That's good stuff. You touched on something which is true, right? Like, people paint this picture of like, well, these girls that go get an abortion, they're just desperate and they don't know what to do. And listen, that's true in some cases, but since when does desperation mean that we get to do something wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's absolutely insane to say, well, we can't hold them responsible because they're just desperate. I mean, do we say that because somebody steals, right? Well, they were just desperate. They needed some money. And so they stole. No, we say, hey, that was still wrong. You still need to pay the consequences for committing the crime. But it's like, our society has messed with the minds and the way that society thinks about abortion so much that when people make excuses for it, maybe they don't mean to say this, but even those in the pro-life side, they're kind of saying it's not the same kind of murder, right? It's a mini murder. It's not a serious murder. And in fact, this is what I wanted to pull up next. It's a Kristan Hawkins other tweet. Well, we'll look at a couple of them, but let me go ahead and share this one. Did it work? Hang on. Let me see if it works now. There we go. Because this is kind of what I'm talking about. She says, imagine what could be accomplished if every abolitionist, quote unquote, i.e., people who agree that abortion kills an innocent human but try to blow up pro-life laws because they want to see women thrown in jail, would use their trolling time on the internet to attack Planned Parenthood, the abortion lobby, and pro-abortion politicians instead of pro-life people. This is absolutely insane to me because, number one, the abolitionists do go after Planned Parenthood. They do go after the abortion lobby. They do go after pro-abortion politicians, but they're just saying, hey, everybody needs to be consistent. I mean, she's just sort of saying, hey, don't look at us and what we're doing wrong. Just go after those guys.
Yeah.
But justice is justice, right? It's not us versus them. Is we stand on the truth of what God has said versus, what he hasn't said. It's kind of like saying, well, because we're on the right, you don't need to attack us. Well, if you're doing something incorrect, it doesn't matter if you're on the right, you're still wrong. We stand for the truth of God. Another thing, or I don't know if you want to comment there, because again, I can ramble.
Not as good as me, man. No, what really gets me is just looking at this and seeing how she's coming at it sideways and everything, and oh, you want to throw women in jail and stuff like that, and it's just like, well, if somebody stole your car, you'd want them thrown in jail.
It's not that hard.
It's not rocket science, and and it's like this. If of course we're gonna be like in her last statement she made, like she sees the abolitionist ones or she sees them as the ones being shot, and it's like, well, yeah, because we're sharing in Christ's suffering. You go out there, it doesn't feel good to get yelled at and screamed at and hit on, and and stuff. But we still do it because we're glorifying God and we're doing what
Amen.
He commanded us to do. And protecting the life within the womb is just that. And of course, there's going to be pushback and all this kind of stuff. But it just seems like these people just want like this free ride, like they want their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like if we just put, yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, you had since 1972. Your way's not working.
Right.
Your way's not working. So, but just seeing this, like, oh, you don't want to throw women in jail. Well, I got a quick question. So, if a woman, all right, was on her way to the abortion clinic, she don't want the child within her, all right, and I'm drinking and driving, and I hit her car, and it kills the baby within her. I would be charged with homicide. I'd be charged with murder. And that women could come to my defense and say, no, I was on my way to the abortion clinic to abort the baby.
Yep.
And the courts wouldn't care.
Right.
No, he killed the baby. So see, there's these double standards, that the courts, play and the laws and everything. And,
Yeah, no, it's absolutely insane. And I'm glad you did that example because I never even thought about that. If the mother came back and said, "No, you don't understand. I was on my way to the abortion clinic." It's still homicide. Like, how insane do we have to be as a society to
yeah.
say, "Hey, the mother wanted to kill the baby," and normally she can, but because this guy killed the baby because he was drunk, now all of a sudden it is homicide. But if the mother wants to kill the baby and had gotten to the abortion clinic, then it wouldn't have been homicide, even though you get the exact same result. That
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah.
That is wild.
The other question, I used to, ask a lot of the people that pushed back on the abolitionist movement and everything is I was like, don't you think it's a little odd that they say the baby's not a baby? The baby's not even, like it's not even a child. But
Mhm.
why are they selling the body parts? I
Yeah.
thought it's not a child. Well, it has hands and arms and legs and toes and fingers, and they're selling them.
Yep.
And so I mean, I think there's common sense here. Something's wrong.
Yep.
You know, but
Absolutely. Fred says you are only allowed to murder babies if you are the mother or an MD, a doctor. That's absolutely correct, which is absolutely insane. Because I mean, we got special privileges depending on what you do or a certain qualification to murder. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
I mean, you remember Dr. Kevorkian?
I do.
He got in trouble for going around and doing assisted suicides and and that wasn't legal.
Right. Right.
And so there's just I think that we have been so desensitized in society
Hmm.
to a lot of these things that I mean it's always this shock factor going on in our country and around the world. It's just
Right.
there's and so the whole idea of abortion is out of sight, out of mind.
Yes.
you
Exactly.
know Out of
Exactly.
sight, out of mind. And that's what the pro-life wants to do. Out of sight, out of mind. I just want
Mhm.
to donate money and complain about I was just doing a show the other night. You ever notice those people that you're the one that's out doing the legwork. You're the one that's like let's say doing a homeless ministry or abortion ministry or whatever. And then you always got the people on the other side that are going, you know what? They don't have their shoes tied right. And then they just
Right.
start complaining, and it's like, well, you're not even doing anything,
Right. Right.
except about complaining how we're doing it, but we're doing it, you know?
Correct. Correct. If you have a better idea, please, we're all
Yeah.
ears.
Yeah.
You know. Um, I want to go back here for a second because this is really important. Going back to what she said, people, i.e., people who agree with abortion or that abortion kills an innocent human, but try to blow up pro-life laws because they want to see women thrown in jail. Okay, so real quick about that, we are not the ones. Abolitionists are not the ones blowing up pro-life laws. It's the other way around. It's the pro-life establishment.
Yeah. Did I lose you? I think I lost you. You're frozen. You're frozen. Hey, something came up with them. So yeah, I just find it fascinating, that there can be such a pushback on wanting it criminalized. Yeah, I mean, you just stop and think about it. We criminalized driving drunk. Why? Because people were dying. We criminalized jaywalking. Why? Because people were dying. We criminalized a whole bunch of stuff because people were dying, and there's no difference here. There are children that are being killed, and those that are assisting in that have been programmed to believe that this is normal behavior. It started back when I was in high school. I'm 52 now. It started back when I was in high school. I remember it was a scarce thing. Like Clinton was in office, and what they were saying back then, that abortions should be few and far between. And that sounded all right, but you just gave them the foothold, the foot in, and to pull in all this other. I mean, just stop and think about it. It has gotten so far from 1972, the Roe versus Wade, is to where they think it's it is perfectly acceptable to kill a baby now outside of the womb. That's how far this has gone, and we have been indoctrinated and desensitized minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, month after month, year after year. And as to where this is just like normalized. This is a normal thing. Like, it's not a baby inside the womb. Yeah, it is. But, it needs to be criminalized. I was just talking about some of my friends up here, Sophia Faith and Scott Watson. They're awesome. And Scott Watson was the one that really made me challenge the way I was thinking, because I never thought about writing a state senator, which our senators here rock in Idaho. We got Shippey. That dude, I just met him like last month, in person, actually right behind our building right here. And they're getting bills to the floor, and then they get shot down and all this and that. But, again, their way isn't working. But then again, you got people, on the abolitionist side, excuse me, that you're going to have nutty people on both sides. All right. It is what it is. Is this him? Is he back? What happened?
Hey, can you guys see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
All right, cool. So I lost power and my internet is not coming back up. So I am doing this off my phone right now.
Okay.
So I have never done a live off my phone before. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what were you saying?
Oh, I was just rambling on and on. I was like, what I was saying was like, why did they make drunk driving illegal? Well, because people were dying. Why did they make jaywalking illegal? Well, because people were dying. And just go right down the list. People were dying. Well, people are dying. And yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, you need Starlink. That's right, Fred. You need Starlink.
So I'm going to try something. Again, this is, let me see. Can I share a picture? Can I do that? Again, I've never done this off my phone. Well, you guys are just going to have to take my word for it. So where I was at right before I got disconnected, I was saying that she makes the claim that we are the ones blowing up pro-life laws, but in reality, it is the pro-life establishment that is blowing up abolition bills. Because again, we brought up the fact that in places like North Dakota, Louisiana, etc., we had pro-abolitionist bills. So if you're actually for ending abortion, then you would support those bills. But it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense why anybody would oppose those bills if they're actually in favor of ending abortion. The thing is that Kristan Hawkins and many others in the pro-life establishment actually make money off of their work. It seems likely that the only reason why they don't want abortion to end is because it's the only source for money for them. So I'm sorry, one second. Like I said, I am having some issues here. So I got to make sure that I don't lose power altogether. Give me 1 second. If you want to say something to that while I work on something, give me just one moment here. If you want to respond, feel free.
Well, like I was saying, like so Scott Watson up here in Idaho, he sent me something he wrote up for Senator Shippey, and who he's become really good friends with, and he sent it to me to overlook and read it, and I thought it was excellent. And then they got the bill on the floor up here, and if it got in, it was short-lived, but that was as far as they've brought that. So yeah,
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And I would have shown this, but obviously my laptop is not working, so I can't really show, and my computer's not working. But I was going to show what would you call it? A tweet from Jeff Durbin, because the thing about Kristan Hawkins is that she was actually. You got it? You see it?
No, I got it on my phone.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I was going to put it on display, but obviously I can't. But I was going to basically show the tweet from Jeff Durbin challenging Kristan Hawkins to a debate. And it wasn't just him. T. Russell Hunter from Abolitionist Rising actually challenged her to a debate as well. However, what she decided to do was to just block them. So when she challenged them, or when they challenged her to a debate, their response, or her response, was to just block them. And I think it's because she doesn't actually have a response. She can't actually respond to abolitionist objections against the pro-life establishment and the argument of, well, women are just victims. If you're going to be consistent, if you're going to say that abortion is murder, then you will actually admit that, yeah, we need to treat it as murder for everyone who seeks to get an abortion.
Could I just read that first little paragraph he said? Because he was very respectful to her.
He was.
I mean, completely. It was no like, hey, you getting snotty or anything like that. He says, I would be honored to have you join me on Apologia Radio for a discussion about this. The concern is that your inconsistency is helping to keep abortion legal.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gives 4 explanations of why. I mean, the no shots, fired or anything like that. He just let's just come on, not even a debate. Let's just come on and have a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these, this lady and a lot of people like her are just so. No, it's you're wrong. I'm right, and I don't even want to discuss it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it comes down to. Let me see if I can I show this comment? There we go. Abolition isn't even a large enough movement to block pro-life legislation. Thank you, Fred. You're absolutely correct. So it's not really us blocking anything from them. It's them blocking our stuff, right? But it's like you're saying, Haps. I mean, there's really no response. I don't think that Kristan actually has a response to Jeff Durbin or T. Russell Hunter or anybody that challenges her from an abolitionist perspective, because there is no justifiable response to the fact that you want to protect women who want to murder their children. That's what it really comes down to.
If I could respond to that real fast,
Yeah, absolutely.
abolitionism isn't even a large enough movement to block pro-life legislation. Well, neither was the abolitionist movement during this when slavery was legal here in the United States.
Mhm.
It was tiny.
Right.
And then the Lord, used it, and we won there. Well, God
Yeah.
won there, so He's going to win here. It's just a matter of
Amen.
time.
Amen.
He will.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. You can go on. You
Oh,
were
no, no,
saying.
no, no. That's all.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like my internet at home is going to come back. My computer seems to be there seems to be some kind of power issue, because there are some things. I don't know if you notice, like lights flickering in the background once in a while. I don't know what's going on. This is a first for me, but the show must go on. So I was
Uh-oh.
able to at least
Wait,
make it
wait.
work with a
We
phone.
might need to call Todd White or one of the remnant radio guys.
That's
I'm like
hilarious.
checking the door and the lights now. No. If you want to do a part 2 of this, that's all right. I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do a part 2. Absolutely. But I think we covered enough to at least show the problem with the pro-life establishment, right? And the fact that they can't actually refute the answers that the abolitionist movement is bringing up. They can't do it so bad that they won't accept challenges, right? Because they can't actually answer. Oh, look, we got the Truth and Love Network. What's up? That's Robert Knipe right there.
What's up, Knipe?
So, Robert, if you're just tuning in, or whoever's running Truth and Love Network right now, I know there's a bunch of guys that can run it. I am on my phone because I lost power in the middle of our live stream. So now my internet is not working and my laptop wants to fall apart, and a few other things are happening. Lights flickering. I think you know what I think it is? I'm not an Isaiah Saldivar type guy that blames everything on demons. But in this case, I'm just going to say they are demonic forces trying to stop the truth of abolitionism from coming out. And so they took down my computer thinking that they could silence us, but I got a phone. So sorry, my God's more powerful than you demons.
Yeah. Get behind me, Satan,
Exactly. Absolutely. All right, brother. Well, yeah, we'll wrap it up here. My phone's going to die soon anyway, so I don't think I can last much longer. But this was a good conversation.
Yes.
And I appreciate your time. Is there any, if people want to follow you on social media or want to support anything that you're doing, is there anything that you want me to link or anything you want to share with the audience before we go?
No. No. I just I have a Facebook show, called R&B Studios, and I'm I'm frequent on open air theology with Braden Patterson
Yeah.
and what's his name? Tom Shepard. Like, what's his name? And no, I love those
By the
guys.
way, those guys, I think they started a YouTube channel recently, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, I started it back in 2020 under R&B Studios, and then I brought Jeff Rice in,
Mhm.
and we did a show together for a year, and then him and I decided to start Open Air Theology. I left last year, and moving and all that kind of stuff, and some other stuff, and so it's I think it's pretty neat how open air theology has new faces in it, and new subjects and everything like that, and God's being glorified. I think that's awesome. So what is it? Truth and love. It says Rob, much love, and Rob, LOL.
Rob, much love, and Rob. Yeah, let me pull that up there. Are you trying to say that you are Rob, but twice? I'm not sure. They put LO. Well, anyway, yeah, go check out those guys' open air theology as well. And what were they going to do a? Do you? I mean, you're not involved as much anymore, but do you know if they were going to do a around February? Right, that's when the conference usually happens.
Yeah, so I did the first two conferences and was going to do this last conference, but it all got shut down. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see one in the future.
Yeah, you never know. Me personally, I'm kind of sick of conferences.
Okay.
Well, you just walk around all day, and they, you have to do like so many interviews, and oh, I appreciate you too. I don't know who you are. Is this Robert Knight?
Might be Robert. Yeah, I think he's on there.
Yeah, and it's just so tiring that by the end of the day, and then you have to get up at like early in the morning the next morning and go do it all over again from morning till night, and it's just walking around and doing interviews and getting up and speaking. It's a lot.
Well, I hope you don't give up on it, so we can meet face to face. Maybe I'll join the. I'll head over to the conference if it ever happens again.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm hoping Matt Slick. I'm trying to talk Matt Slick into doing a conference because he's coming up on his 30-year Carm anniversary. Carm has been around for 30 years,
Yep,
and I think that would be really neat.
that would be cool. Yeah, and he does debates too, so maybe a debate in the conference. I don't know. I'm just making
I'm just
suggestions.
saying, yeah, yeah, but
All right,
yeah.
brother.
All right, man.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for bearing with me on my phone.
Yeah.
You guys watching, thank you for sticking around. I apologize. These things happen. It's real life. But hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Hopefully it's helpful to somebody that maybe hasn't worked through this issue and opens the door to potentially looking more into what is abolitionism, right? And what's wrong with the pro-life movement. If you want to check out Abolitionist Rising, abolitionists, plural, rising on YouTube. I think they're on a couple other places. Let's see. Apologia. Apologia does a lot of abolitionist stuff as well. Anything else that you've got Love Life, you've got End Abortion Now. I'm trying to think of anybody else that any other abolitionist organizations. There's a lot of them. Do you know
Operation
any others
Save
that you would?
America, Operation Save California, Operation Save, was it North Carolina? You know, yeah.
There you go. All right. Foundation to Abolish Abortion. Thank you, Robert. Yes, there are many, many, many more. And you know what? If I think of any more, I will definitely add them in the description below. But go check those guys out, guys. If you're a first time, sort of newcomer to the idea of abolitionism, go check those guys out. They're much better at what explaining abolition and supporting it than I am. But I just wanted to kind of speak on this, and thank you, Haps, for joining me in this conversation.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure.
God bless you guys. Take care.